All right, here is the Zoom video for Chapter 7, Problems 6 and 7. All right, so if we look at Chapter 7, Problem 6, again, it's about covered interest arbitrage. We can look at the spot rate at 80 cents. And the forward rate at 79 cents. And finding the premium. Using the forward divided by spot minus 1, we come up with negative 1.25%. And if we look at the premium as established by the difference in interest rates, so what we have is the premium as established by the forward and spot rate, not equal to the premium as established by the difference in interest rates. So if we look at the difference in interest rates at negative 1.5%, and the premium is established by the forward rate relative to the spot rate at negative 1.25%. So if we go down 1.5 and over about 1.25, should be about here, we're going to see that we're below the interest rate parity line. Given that we're below the interest rate parity line, we now see that U.S. investors have the possibility to use covered interest arbitrage to generate a riskless profit. So now that we've established that, if we have $1 million and the U.S. investor invests $1 million locally, and they're looking at this over 90 days, and the U.S. investor could earn 2.5%. After 90 days, $1 million, earning 2.5% interest, gives you $1,025,000. Investing domestically. Now, using covered interest arbitrage, the $1 million gets converted into Canadian dollars at a spot rate of 80 cents. So what we can see is that's equivalent to 1,250,000 Canadian dollars. So each Canadian dollar is worth 80 cents. So obviously you have more Canadian dollars if you convert 1 million US. Now, if you have Canadian dollars and can earn 4%, you will end up with 1,300,000 Canadian dollars after 90 days. Back on day 0, if you'd locked in a forward rate and the forward rate was 79 cents, if you'd have locked in the forward rate, then you can sell the 1.3 million Canadian at 79 cents for each Canadian dollar. You just multiply those two numbers together and you'll end up with 1,027,000 US using covered interest arbitrage. Therefore, what happens is that the additional profit is the difference between covered interest arbitrage and what he could do domestically. Or a difference of $2,000. Which, if you look back up here, since the forward premium suggested a negative 1.25% difference between the forward rate and the spot rate, but the interest rates were only negative 1.5%. If you look at that as a net differential of about 25 basis points, the $2,000 should not be that surprising, as that's a difference of about, well, not exactly 25 basis points, but somewhere in that same range. So that's problem 6. And if we look then at problem 7, now what we're seeing is a forward rate and a spot rate, and covered interest arbitrage can only be utilized by the foreign investor. So if we look at the spot rate, of 10 cents per peso and a forward rate of 9.8 cents per peso. And we can look at the premium determined by the forward rate divided by the spot rate minus 1. Or we're seeing a forward discount of around 2%. So if we go back and look at the premium as determined by the difference in interest rates, and US interest rates are 5%, and interest rates on the peso are 6%, then that difference is negative 1%. So now we can go back, and interest rate parity says that the forward premium determined by the forward rate and the spot rate should be equal to the difference in interest rates. But if we're at negative 2% determined by the forward and spot rate, and the premium as determined by the difference in interest rates is negative 1%. If we go negative 2 and down 1%, you can see we're in the region above the interest rate parity line. That means that foreign investors can use covered interest arbitrage. So now that we've determined that foreign investors can use covered interest arbitrage, let's prove that that's true. If we gave the Mexican investor $100,000 pesos, and if he invested domestically, then he would have 100,000 pesos, and 180 days later, he would have earned 6% investing locally, and he would have had 106,000 pesos. If he uses covered interest arbitrage, which he can because it's above the line, then on day 0, he would convert 100,000 pesos into US dollars at the spot rate of 10 cents per peso, and he would have $10,000. If he invests the $10,000 for 180 days at 5%, he would have $10,500. If he had locked in the forward rate to convert them back into pesos using the forward rate of 9.098 cents per peso, and you take the 10,500, divide it by 0.098, and you come up with 107,143 pesos, approximately. Therefore, the additional profit or riskless profit is 1,143 pesos. You can also go back and prove that a U.S. investor would be worse off. The reason it only works in one direction is because the peso is losing 2% of its value relative to the forward rate, but the difference in interest rates is only 1%. So by giving up 1% in interest, by converting pesos into dollars and only earning 5% on the dollars, he's picking up 2% later on the conversion back to pesos. So he should be about 1% better off. It's a little higher than that. But remember, it doesn't work exactly because of differences in the base of the currency. All right, well, hopefully this video has helped. I'll post it as always. You can call me or text me or email me and I'll get back to you. If you have any questions, we'll see you on Wednesday.